You're listening to the British Baseball Podcast. I'm excited. Yeah, very excited to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll just start again. Charles Truby.
Yeah, Charlie.
Charlie Truby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very important British baseball podcast. I'm joined today by Charles Truby. Charles, as you can probably see from his background if you watch this on YouTube, is part of the Little League baseball softball in UK, which has sprung up recently. I came to notice it on LinkedIn, and I'll make sure that I leave all Charlie's links within the show notes so you can reach out to Charlie, because after listening to this, you may want to reach out and see how you can get involved. Charlie, how are things?
They're good. They're good. Worried about the weather and make sure that we get some baseball and softball in, but everything's pretty good. Bad day on the ball field is better than a good day at work.
Indeed. Charlie, for those that are unfamiliar with yourself, why don't you just tell us a bit about yourself and your journey through baseball?
My journey through baseball started with stickball when I was a kid. I grew up in the southeast side of Chicago, and it's full of steel mills, chemical plants, and it's kind of a low socioeconomic area of the city. Truth be told, it's low socioeconomic area of the United States. I had an American dad, English mom, and we used to play stickball and sandlot ball because we couldn't afford to play on regular teams. So buddies of mine just had pickup games. That's my youth journey with baseball. My adult journey with Little League is I started out as an umpire, and I worked my way up. I started doing tournaments for Little League, and eventually I did a World Series for one of the divisions of Little League softball. And I also did university ball. I umpired university baseball and softball, which is NCAA and NAIA. So my journey with Little League as an administrator is I started out as an assistant district administrator. And then we moved to Montana to finish off my university. I umpired in Montana. And we moved to New York, New York State, upstate New York, not New York City. And I became an assistant district administrator, a league president, league treasurer. And then I moved here. I'm British, proud to be British. I want to build baseball for Britain, baseball and softball for Britain. And I came over here permanently in 2018. I was a high school athletic director in the States, and I was also a high school head wrestling coach, amateur wrestling. And I taught and coached in primarily low disadvantaged schools. And one of the things about Little League is if a kid can't afford it to play, we'll find a way to make sure that kid plays. And that kid will not be singled out. Because the beautiful thing about rules is every player on the team has to have the same uniform. So it's not the kids that can afford it have a uniform and the kids that can't just play in their regular clothes.
Yeah.
So they're not separated. And that's one of my missions here in the UK, is to let kids play.
Yeah. So how what were your experience? You mentioned you were involved in Little League in the States. What experiences and things did you learn from there that you're hoping to bring over here?
Gosh, there's a whole bunch of experiences. Um, the most important experience that I have from what I learned with Little League in the States is to find ways to have kids play, regardless of where they're from, how much money their families have, if they're able-bodied children or disabled children, is the push to get them to play. And one of the things that I've learned is that we were discussing before the interview that everybody has a place in Little League, even adults have a place in Little League because your knowledge matters. And it's one more person that can be a role model and build character in these children so they can be productive members of society. And that's one thing I learned, is that the tournaments are not, the tournaments are great. You know, winning tournaments are great. I mean, please, I was a high school head wrestling coach. I I love to win, but it's the character building that sports brings. That's the most important lesson I learned through my journey as a high school coach, and also through my journey as a administrator with Little League,
Mhm.
is we're not building ball players, we're building leaders in the boardroom, on the job site, um, guys that are on a welding project. They work as a team, they learn how to work as a team. So that's what we're really building. It's a character building program more than anything.
Yeah. So the Little League baseball, softball UK thing sprung up on my feed, uh, pretty much like out of nowhere. It felt for me. So can you tell the listeners what it is and how it came to be?
Well, Little League has been around in the UK for a long time before I even shown up on the scene. When I was chosen to be the district administrator in January of 2023, I took the approach that we want to build a feeder program for the British Baseball Federation and the British Softball Federation. We also want to incorporate that all kids are involved, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Um, we've had a massive growth spurt here in the UK. When I took over, we had a chartered Little League is, you have a boundary, and within that boundary, your kids are protected. So let's say you're from Manchester, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the boundary has to be 5 million people population or less. That's what the parameters Little League gave me. Let's say you start a chartered Little League in Manchester, and we draw up a boundary for you guys.
Yeah.
only those kids that live in those boundaries are eligible to play in tournament. Those kids are protected, and also it protects the adults of having a boundary, so another little league won't steal your kids and have them play for that little league. So all your blood, sweat, and tears of creating that league is protected.
Mhm.
So it just not just keeps the kids playing with their classmates. It helps the adults keep what they built.
Yeah. So how does the plan to implement this all happen? Because there's a lot of teams within the British baseball community, like up in Scotland, the north of England, Midlands. A lot of them don't even have a youth setup. So I'm just wondering how are you planning to get all this off the ground and to start implementing Little League throughout the country?
Truth be told, I'm talking to everybody and anybody. I encourage, I sent a bunch of emails to adult leagues saying, hey, here we are. We're a great feeder program for your adult league. Here's a chance, for you to be involved with a, kid, and eventually your adult league will grow. I've contacted adult leagues. We've contacted schools.
Yeah.
I'm on this podcast. Um, I've been doing a lot of talking to a lot of people, telling them what we can offer.
What sort of feedback and reception have you had when you've been reaching out to people?
Well, when I first began, we had one chartered Little League. You fill out a charter, you have a boundary that protects you,
Is this the one in London that we were talking about earlier? The London
correct.
Youth Little League?
The
Yeah.
the London Little League. And they have clubs within that boundary that feed into the London Little League charter. I've grown it to 5. We have Chester and Wirral. We have Southwest England Little League. We got Cymru Little League, which is Wales. We got Northern Ireland. And London. Did I say 5? Yeah, London, Chester and Wirral, Southwest, Cymru, and Northern Ireland. That's correct. So we have 5 chartered Little Leagues.
So now that those are in place, what are they now doing? Like, say for example, the Chester and Wirral one. Are
Chester and
they?
Wirral is starting with they're starting slow. They're starting with T-ball,
Yeah.
and they're working their way up.
Okay. So let's play a little game. Say for
Okay.
example, yeah, and this is just an example. I want to start the Manchester Little League, and I've reached out to you, Charlie, and I'm saying, right, Charlie, I'm keen, amigo. What do you need from me? What is it you want me to do?
We sit down and we draw up a boundary.
Yeah.
Then I send you a charter form and you fill it out. Send it back to me. I send it to Poland, which is our regional headquarters for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East.
Okay.
You get your charter. Then we start working on, we try and get your equipment, through Pitch In for Baseball. What I'm trying to do, and hopefully this podcast will help, was I'm trying to find corporate sponsors to help us defray the costs.
Yeah.
Because eventually my vision is for Little League UK to pay all the charter fees, pay the travel fees if they go to tournament, and help defray the costs of some of those kids that can't afford to play.
Yeah. So I'm also guessing, uh, would would I need to have a baseball club to be on board with this as well? So again, using Manchester
No,
as an example, would I need to be able to go, well, Manchester now has 3 fields that they use, and also what's coming, I believe, is like a youth baseball size field too? Or is it just a case of getting in touch with local councils and saying, I want to do this, I need X amount of green room, and then is it a case of throwing portable bases on the floor just to get things off the ground type of thing?
that's what some leagues are doing. But if you can get an adult, pardon me, if you can get an adult team or an adult league to help you, that's all the better.
Hmm.
Because you got that knowledge base now. Because you got a bunch of people that know how to play baseball and softball. So there goes the knowledge base. Like John F. Kennedy was a good president because he surrounded himself with some of the best minds in the United States at the time. And he wasn't afraid to ask for their opinions. So the more help, the better.
Yeah.
You can at first you can throw bases down, but I have a short-term goal and also have a long-term goal, and corporate sponsorship will help. One thing that people watching this need to understand: in North America, United States, Mexico, and Canada, that's what I know. Their district is about the size of Manchester or Birmingham. A big district would be the size of Yorkshire. Okay, we're in a unique situation in the UK. Our Little League district is all of the UK and Northern Ireland. So we represent everybody from the tip of Scotland down to Penzance. So with corporate sponsorship to help us, it will make it a lot easier for these leagues to grow. And I can just say, okay, we have enough money to build your field. That is my dream, is to have 2 fields in each charter. That's my long-term goal with corporate sponsorships. That's it. That's my long-term goal, to help out the leagues.
Yeah.
These are 60-foot diamonds. If you're a baseball and softball people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're 60-foot diamonds to help with the youth. So that's my long-term goal. That's something that I'm working very hard on doing.
So you mentioned quite a bit about corporate sponsorship. I'm guessing that your program isn't affiliated with any of the federations within British baseball at the moment.
British Baseball Federation, we're a separate entity from British Softball and British Baseball Federations. British Baseball Federation have been very supportive of us, putting the word out.
Yeah.
British Baseball Federation recommended me for this position to Little League International. So I'm trying to help them out by creating a bigger feeder program for them. And also, of course, British Softball Federation. So we work together, but they I'm trying not to sound arrogant. We work together, but they can't tell me how to run Little League.
Mm.
Little League can tell me how to run Little League, but so I'm a big fan of both BBF and BSF,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to build something for them as well.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build something for them. I'm trying to build something for the local community. I'm trying to build character in these children. So it's all a building process. It's a good thing I grew up working class because it's all about building.
Yeah. So one thing I was just thinking then, does it need to be a separate thing? Does it have to be baseball and softball, or can it just be a little league where it doesn't matter where you got a parent that loves softball or a parent that's into baseball? Can it just be a case of we're getting kids together and they're just hitting a ball with a bat and just playing? Or do you think that is, I think what I'm trying to ask is, do you think it's going to be more of a challenge if it's a separate entity or if it's a combined thing?
That's where the regional knowledge comes into play. So we have, I'll give you an example. We have a person in Manchester who's a total baseball person. Then we have, and they want to put all their chips into baseball, Little League baseball. Then they have somebody who's a softball person, and they want to put all their chips into Little League softball. We can do that. We can have two separate charters overlapping the same boundary.
Do you think there'd be facility sharing wouldn't be an issue, would it? Unless it
It it
becomes like a conflict of schedule between
it, it,
the
it
teams.
depends on. It's like when I was president of a Little League in the States, we had both baseball and softball. And we scheduled our games to accommodate both. You can do, you can structure your local Little League how you want. You want to put all the kids together? Great. You want to have a softball and a baseball? Great. It's up to you how you administer your charter for the regular season. I make sure that you, as a district administrator, I make sure that you have your charters up to date. If you have any tough questions about rules, I'm the person you talk to. If you have a question that goes on to international, you ask me and then I ask international. So it's not a bunch of leagues going to international and they get thousands of emails. You just get an email from the district administrator on behalf of the leagues.
Yeah.
So it's like I have a intern working on local rules. I'm just giving you examples of how the local league runs their league. I have an intern working on local rules. Give an example. When I was the president of a local league, we did not start an inning after 8 o'clock on weekdays because the kids had to, go home,
Yeah. Yeah.
go to school, and the next day, stuff like that. And as a former teacher, I was very, very happy about that rule. But um, you make your rules. You send your local rules to me to make sure they're not like really off the wall.
Yeah.
Because with 40 years experience with Little League, I can tell you if a parent, from experience, I can tell you if a parent's going to like that rule or not.
Yeah.
But it's up to you how you do your league.
Yeah. What do you think would be the ideal blueprint or the simplest way for someone to start up a little league then?
simplest way is, as I said, you talk to me.
Mhm.
We set up a boundary. And if you have an age group that's predominant, let's say you have predominantly 9 to 12-year-olds, you would start a little league division. It's 10 to 12s.
Yeah.
9-year-olds can kind of sneak in and play. You started that division. If you have a vast majority of 7 to 10-year-olds, you do a minor league division. So we decide on what division you want by the numbers you have. And that's flexible every year. I'm sure you're familiar with Will Return, right?
No.
Will Return does this T-Rex T-ball.
Oh, Willington. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Big fan.
I'm sorry, everybody. I am British, but my pronunciations are south side of Chicago, so I apologize
all
if I
right.
mispronounce things.
If anyone wants to test his Britishness, just ask him how he takes his tea.
Milk, 2 things of sugar, and I keep the tea bag in because I like a builder's.
Yeah. Will's program is amazing.
Will's program is amazing. So I encourage you to talk to Will with T-ball. You can incorporate his program and my program together. So you can have a T-ball with lessons from Will and his program, and also have a T-ball charter, so you can get that charter boundary going. So when those kids move up the ladder in age, it's already there, it's already set up.
Yeah.
So the local league decides on what divisions they have, what age groups they have. And it will change every year. When I was president of a league, sometimes I had 5 T-ball teams, sometimes I had 10. And I'd have 12 10 to 12-year-olds. Sometimes I had 6. It all depends on the age groups. So it's flexible. There's 2 types of district administrators in Little League. There's the one with the iron fist that says, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And then there's the laid back ones who says, just as long as you keep with Little League's ethos, have at it. When it comes to tournaments, all bets are off. I have to follow what international says, because when you start your district tournament, in our case, it's a national tournament. When you start your district tournament, that's the beginning of the international tournament.
Yeah.
So all bets are off. I can't deviate. So I have to be a little bit more tight on the rules and procedures.
Yeah.
But your local league, when you're in the regular season, have at it.
What do you think some of the biggest challenges are that you're going to face, or the ones that you are facing at the moment? And is there anything that the British baseball community can do to try and help?
Encourage people that it's just not an American sport. Tell people it's not an American sport. All they have to do is take a look. If you're a baseball person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a softball person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Take a look at Japanese professional baseball. It is insane. Not the baseball. The baseball looks like baseball. You look in the stands and it's insane. It puts a lot of football supporters to shame. I mean, they have cheerleaders, they have cheering sections. It's a Japanese sport. The Cubans, even though they have such a disdain for the United States, the Cubans, that's their national sport, is baseball. It's a Cuban sport, it's a Canadian sport. It's a South American sport. It's just not an American sport. That's something that you have to, as a baseball, softball person, have to let people know that it's an international sport.
Yeah. Does do you need a lot of parents to then take up roles as coaches and umpires? I'm guessing there's going to need to be qualifications and training dished out on those. How are people going to get access to those kind of resources to help run the games and facilitate the games?
That's one thing that Little League excels at, is teaching coaches and umpires. There's umpire clinics. There was a free umpire clinic. All you had to do was get there in Poland. Now, umpires from all over Europe. Proud to say that one of the umpires that runs the umpires in the regional tournament in Poland is from the UK. One of the instructors in Poland at the umpire school is from the UK. Very proud of that. We have people that are signed to the regional tournament from the UK. So there are avenues for people to learn to umpire. There's also avenues for people to learn to coach throughout the UK. Little League has excellent teaching tools to teach people how to coach. There's a program called the Diamond Leader program. If you take the Diamond Leader program on Little League, all you have to do is put United Kingdom District 1 and you register and you take that program. And it teaches you. That's one thing Little League has. You know, Little League also has a district administrator that was a coach, was an umpire, and was a school teacher. So I'm not afraid to teach you.
Yeah.
How to do these things. And I will teach you without judgment. I mean, that's part of the teacher training I had. You know, you have a question, there's no stupid question if you ask me. No matter if it's running your league, how to coach, how to umpire, how to deal with a child that just has a little bit too much energy. You know, been there, done that. So there is support for that.
Excellent. You also mentioned before, we were talking before we recorded about the Challenger program. Are you able to divulge a bit more about that? What is the Challenger program?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The Challenger program is for children who are disabled, not just physical disabilities, mental disabilities, things from having kids in wheelchairs to autistic kids to blind kids. It focuses on those kids. And one of the things, it's a big time character building program for the able-bodied kids. So let's say you have baseball and softball and the kids playing traditional throwing, hitting, sliding the things that you do in baseball and softball with those able-bodied kids, and you have a challenger program for the disabled kids. Sometimes those disabled kids need help, pushing their wheelchairs, for an example. Those able-bodied kids that are playing the traditional game, I'm just using that as a, to
I know what you
separate,
mean. Yeah.
yeah, to separate challengers from traditional baseball and softball. Those kids that are playing the traditional game become buddies with those kids in a wheelchair, and they push them around the bases. So now they're part of that team. So when they go back to school, they see the kid in the wheelchair. The kid is no longer in the wheelchair. The kid is Jimmy or Julie, and they're my teammate on this team. So it teaches kids to look past the disability and just look at them as just another kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an example in my personal life.
Okay.
I was struck down with a health issue, and I walk with a cane, and I have a mobility scooter. I'm 58 years old, so I'm past the hurt feeling stage. Okay, so it really doesn't bother me. But you learn to notice things the older you get. I toddle about town, going about my business, and I'm invisible because I'm in that mobility scooter. I was at the doctor's surgery yesterday. Being a proper British gentleman, I waited in the queue. Somebody didn't even look at me, walked right in front of me because I was in that mobility scooter. So that's why Challengers is very important to me, to teach those able-bodied kids that those kids that's disabled, they're just like you, except their feet are wheels in a wheelchair or a cane or crutches. So it's a character building process for both. And it also gives those disabled children, it empowers them to show that they're more normal than society gives them credit for. So winning the regional championship and going to the World Series, great. I hope a team from the UK does that.
Yeah.
And I hope a team from the UK wins the Little League Baseball and Softball World Series. Understand that when it gets past the district tournament, I become a fan. Okay? I put on the Union Jack and I'm supporting whatever team goes to the regional and World Series tournaments. But it's way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's letting those kids play that wouldn't have a chance to play. There's some sports where you're size limited. I give an example. When I was in high school, I went to high school in the States. I'm 160 pounds and I'm 5'8". There's no way on God's green earth that I was going to play American football. No way. I was too small. But I went on to amateur wrestling, the high school wrestling team. And I was in a weight class. Baseball takes on all sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
Softball does the same, all sizes and shapes. If you're a rugby player, chances are you're a bigger person. Baseball lets those other kids play something. And softball lets those other kids play something as well. So it's getting kids exercise. It's getting kids in front of good coaches and managers and league presidents that have a good character, so they can say, okay, this is what an adult acts like. This is how an adult handles a stressful situation. And they have their parents as role models, and they have their coaches and umpires as role models. So the more positive role models they have, it's just like a plant. The more sunshine and watering a plant has, the bigger and stronger it grows. And that's what Little League is all about with me as its district administrator, as its leader, if you will, in the UK. That's what's very important to me, is we build those kids.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking off air as well, weren't we, about the importance of having youths playing baseball. It's pretty much the lifeblood of any organization, any team within the UK. You've got to have that pipeline of kids coming through.
What the thing is that if you don't mind, let me use my personal life as an example.
Yeah, please go for it.
2018, I got sepsis, and I've already had lung damage. The sepsis put me in a cane and a wheelchair, or a cane and a mobility scooter. One thing sports taught me was you never give up. And baseball and softball, if you're knowledgeable, you're going to understand what I'm saying. Baseball and softball are games of failure. Ted Williams batted .400 and made it to the Hall of Fame. .400 average. That's failing. He got on base 4 times out of 10. And he's one of the greats. What made him great was he got out, went back to the dugout, went out to the field. The next time it's time for batting, he took a deep breath, had confidence in himself, and tried again and failed. Same cycle. He came up to bat, took a deep breath, and eventually succeeded. So that's what baseball and softball taught me, and wrestling taught me, is you dust yourself off no matter what the situation, and you rise again. There's no way I'm ever going to umpire again. There's no way I'm ever going to pitch, hit, and throw again because of my health. But I never give up.
Yeah.
Because that's what sports as a youth taught me. And that's what we are going to teach these children, is never give up.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that listeners will probably have 101 more questions that I possibly hadn't thought of or covered. So, Charlie, as we wrap up, where can the good people find you if they want to get in touch with you and ask you some more questions?
They can contact me at info at llukbbsb.org.
I make sure I put the links to your email address in the show notes too. Charlie, it's been fascinating. I really enjoyed hearing what you have to say, and it's got me excited about the future for baseball, especially with the youngsters. I've got a youngster myself, and he loves playing. His training on a Wednesday night goes well past his bedtime, and we let him stay up for that as a treat. And last week the weather was beautiful, and he was gutted when the session had finished, and he just wanted to stay out and practice some more. And I think it's that kind of enthusiasm in the little one that keeps me going with the sport, because my involvement in now is not what it used to be. And I see how much fun he has and the joy that he gets out of playing and the different social group that he's with. I think that's for me why I love the sport and why I want stuff like this to work, and why I would encourage any team out there to get kids involved, because it is a game changer. Not every kid is great at football. Not every kid is great at rugby. Not every kid wants to be. They're trying to find that little niche, something where they can feel like they fit in or belong. And for me, that was baseball and one or two other sports that I found later on in life. But baseball was the one that's been there for me of late. And yeah, I would encourage anyone to reach out to Charlie. You've got nothing to lose. You know, have a conversation. Isn't that what we try to do now? Start
That's all I ask.
conversations.
That's all I ask. Let's just talk. If it works for you, it works for you. You know, I'm not forcing anything. We're all volunteers, including myself. So I'm not just trying to sell anything. You know, so let's have a chat.
Yep. Charlie, it is tradition on the show that the guest gets the final word. Is there anything you'd like to part with, or any shout outs you'd like to give?
I love the final word. You know, when I was an umpire, both in Little League and the NCAA, I always had the final word. So that's great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure's been all mine,
Um,
mate.
if you have any questions, folks, just send me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. So that's just thank you for having me, and
Yeah.
thank you for watching, and spread the word about this guy. This guy is really has a lot of podcasts that I've seen. Take a look at his podcasts.
It's very
So
kind of you. I think one thing we should do as well is give a shout out to your partner in crime, Holly, at
Ollie,
RBI
yes,
Wales, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today. Holly is, I think, when I first started out on the podcast, was one of the very first people I reached out to because I was interested to know more about baseball in Wales, especially with only being the one club down there with Cardiff.
let me tell you about. Can I tell you about Holly?
Please do.
Holly is a go-getter. She is not only assistant district administrator, she's also president of Comrie Little League. She is also going to have the first, correct me if I'm wrong, people, on this podcast with the comments, but we're possibly going to have the only challenger games for Little League, as far as Little League's concerned, in Europe. And
Amazing.
Holly is a result of that.
That's so cool, especially since like a lot of baseball seems to have started out around these regions. I think it's only fitting that one of the first things like that comes out of Wales.
Comes out of Wales and comes from Holly. Yeah,
Indeed.
if you're in Wales, you and you're interested in baseball and softball, or you're interested in a challenger division, Holly is the one to talk to.
Yeah. And she's on social media at RBI Wales as well. Holly, come
She
on the show.
is. Yeah, you need to have your voice, Holly.
100%.
Definitely.
100%. Charlie, it's been a pleasure, and I will catch you on the other side. Cheers,
Okay.
mate.
Thanks.
Take care now.
Bye.